What is going on, my broskies? My name is Toadski, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video, and we have a bunch of brand new characters to have a look at today. The treasure map Datamines have finally come through. Shout out to Goldie for the artwork, shout out to Brandon for the unit information, which we'll go through in just a moment. So obviously the PKA unit of the CP0 Stussy, Kaku, and Lucci is super evolving, so we'll go through all of their abilities and see what changes between the two units. Then we also have, this is Atlas, one of the Vegapunks, of course. This is confirmed to be a brand new treasure map legend. I don't know, we just keep getting legends, man. And look, we are so close to the 10th anniversary. As enticing as some of these characters may be, I think it's a better opportunity for you guys to conserve your rainbow gems. We don't know what's coming for anniversary, but judging by what this unit does and what we have already received in the past, there's a pretty good guess as to what we may see. But at the moment, Atlas, this is one of the characters that's coming along. We have Pythagoras and Old Mate. I don't know, I can't remember the exact names. We'll go through in just a moment. And then we also have York, I believe this one is. So yeah, York and these guys are treasure map rare recruit characters that you can get on the Sugo Fest, with Atlas being the debut legend. And then of course we have the Super Evolution skull for Lucci, Kaku, and Stussy. So without further ado, let's jump into it and see exactly what is going on here. So we'll jump into things with the Super Evolution of the free-to-play unit that everyone is going to get access to. So I do also have it up here that Lucci, Kaku, and Stussy currently were quick-driven cerebral. I just want to go quick through this again just to see what's actually different between the two units. One thing that we did know is that these characters are side grading in a way where when they super evolve they change color, so that does make a bit of a difference. Captain ability is Driven Captain, HP boost, and then further damage if they have a status on them. Reduce special bind, and then if you tap with the quick or a tandem slot, you buff your chain locks. Their special ability removes 6 turns of chain coefficient and silence or special bind, and then reduces enemies' damage threshold reduction by 50%. This effect is kind of bad, honestly. I hate that they have this. 3.5 chain lock for 1 turn, and then if they're a crewmate, you can switch them into the captain position. They have a super type that is for super quick. They give driven resistance, and then you can switch out your captain once again. You need to have 6 driven characters in order to activate it. So that's a brief rundown of the old unit. So let's see exactly what they've done with the Super Evolution this time. So this character, I believe, is now an int character. Yeah, so it's int character, still cerebral driven. Okay. Captain ability is a 3.75 times attack. That's up from 3.5. HP 1.25, and then you get a 1.2 damage boost if the enemy has a status inflicted on them. Let me pull up the calculator real quick. So it's 3.75 multiplied by 1.2. It's a 4.5 captain. I mean, it's fine. It's for a free-to-play unit, it's acceptable for sure. The special ability here, it now gives a 10,000 heal, so this was not present previously. Removes special bind and decreased chain multiply growth rate by 6 turns, so this is the exact same, so that's a little disappointing. I would have hoped that this maybe went to 7 turns, would have been really hype. Reduces all enemies' threshold effect by 50%. Again, this effect is just kind of bad. And then sets your chain multiplies minimum value to 2.75 and a max at 10.0 for 1 turn. Okay, so this is a pretty interesting. So you have the base version, which is a 3.5 chain lock, I believe it was. Let me just double check. It was 3.5, right? It was 3.5. And now this character is giving you a 2.75 chain boundary instead. So this does ultimately get you more damage. But sometimes chain locks are required. Sometimes they end up being better than the chain boundaries. The cool thing is like the character does reduce the chain reduction, which works perfectly with chain boundary. The fact that you had Lucci, Kaku, and Stussy previously being a chain lock unit that also removed chain reduction just didn't make sense at all. This now makes a bunch more sense. Okay, makes perfect sense. If this character is a crewmate, you can switch them out into the captain position. The crewmate ability looks to be the same, except that now you need to tap with int or a tandem slot to buff the effect. So this can actually buff the effect of the chain boundary, starting it at like a 3.0 chain boundary. Just getting a 0.25 increase is always good. And then the super type does apply a cerebral resistance this time. Okay, so the other character was driven focused. This is cerebral focused. And then it extends the duration of chain locks by 2 turns. Oh, that's actually really good. And then you can remove the captain swap. Okay, so this can be a 3-turn chain boundary that you can buff with the sailor effect as well. Okay, I'm digging what they're doing here. Seems like a pretty decent upgrade, honestly. Like, it's not the most game-changing update for this unit, but it definitely is a better unit overall. But it's cool you can have like two versions of the unit. You can have one that's focused on driven characters, one that's focused on cerebral, even though when you look at stuff like this is, so even the captain change as well. So that's boosting cerebral rather than boosting driven. You know, this is the cerebral resistance when the other character was driven resistance. So obviously having two copies of this unit is going to be beneficial for you. So yeah, pretty interesting overall. Let's get into Atlas. So Atlas is going to be the next character, and the thing is we already have something to go off, right? We've got Lilith that came out at the start of the year. Now Lilith, being the first Vegapunk character, was the first debut of Vegapunk in the game, and we saw some pretty interesting mechanics with this unit. Obviously, when you use her special and you have a cerebral captain, and you have an attack boost, then it decreases the attack buff by 1.0, but then you get a stackable attack up. So if you have like a 2.5 times attack boost, this special ability would take it from 2.5 down to 1.5, but it makes it a stackable attack boost. So it converts it to a lower multiplier, but it allows you to activate another attack boost that you can stack on top of it. So this is a very interesting mechanic that this character was able to provide. So what is this character, Atlas, going to be doing instead? So this character, Atlas, is Int Cerebral Fighter. So it looks like the Vegapunks are all going down this route of being Int and Cerebral, which makes perfect sense. The captain ability will boost Int Cerebral and Fighter by -1 turn of cooldown. You get there an attack boost of 5.5 when you have a matching slot, 5.25 otherwise, a little bit of a health boost, makes strength slots beneficial, and reduces attack down by 10 turns. So that's really cool, reducing 10 turns of attack down. I believe Lilith also removed a debuff, right? Was it also attack down? Or am I tripping? No, okay, so she doesn't, no. But her special removes attack down. Yeah, her special removes attack down and despair, and then her captain ability was like speed farm, end of turn damage, all that kind of stuff. And now you have this unit which has a debuff removal of attack down reduction. So I assume that's going to be pretty prevalent within this upcoming treasure map that we'll have to deal with. It then says that if you use a special to boost your orbs, then it will add 0.25 to that boost. So I believe Lilith also had that same effect, yeah, of attack buffs. This character gives buffs to orb boosts, and this can stack with other buffing effects. So when you have this character as your captain and you activate, let's say, a 2 times orb boost, it will automatically be converted to a 2.25 times orb boost, and it doesn't like mean that you can't use other stacks. If you have another effect that buffs that orb boost again, that will still work with this. This is a passive increase to any orb boost that you activate. It's a pretty solid captain. Like, it's not super speed farmy focused, but removing attack down as a captain, not too many characters do that. Very, very good. This character does have super class for cerebral, which I believe Lilith also had, and you need to have 6 cerebral characters on the crew, or 6 int characters, which is the same condition that Lilith had. And this effect changes all slots including block into strength, and of course as a captain treats those as beneficial. Boosts int cerebral characters slot effects by 2.75 for 2 turns, but then if the character is just int or just cerebral, they'll receive a 2.5 orb boost for 2 turns, and then cerebral becomes super cerebral. Very similar super class than what Lilith had, except instead of orb boost it was an attack boost instead. So very similar stuff going on here between these two Vegapunk characters. Now the special ability, it looks pretty lengthy, but it's not that difficult to understand what's going on, right? First of all, if you use the special, you have a cerebral captain, and you have an orb boost activated, reduce the multiplier by 1.0, but change it so it becomes a stackable orb boost. The exact same thing as Lilith. Instead of attack boosts, it's orb boost instead. You get a little bit more information here in terms of what's going on. This is all just flavor text in terms of how this actually works. It then says, reduces all enemies' damage reduction, and damage reduction from certain slot effects duration by 6 turns. This is really cool. So 6 turns of Rainbow Shield damage reduction, that's fine, like a lot of characters do that. But this effect, reducing 6 turns of damage reduction against certain slot effects. So this is interesting where characters say, oh, if you have a type slot, we take less damage against you. This removes 6 turns of that. So once again, I assume that this is going to be a prevalent thing that we're going to have to deal with in this upcoming treasure map, which is going to be really frustrating to get around. But that seems really cool, very unique effect. It allows her own normal attacks to ignore defensive effects for 1 turn. Also really cool, I like that a lot. And if the crew has an attack buff when you launch the special, further increases the crew's attack boost by 0.5. And then it says boost int cerebral and fighter characters attack by 2.75 for 2 turns otherwise. See, that is really unique. The fact that this character will give like attack and orb boost. I believe Lilith also did the same thing. Like she had like an orb boost in her special. Her super type or super class did the attack boost. This is like vice versa. So you have like Lilith and Atlas here. If you use them together, you can get like a massive buff for attack orb boost and then double stacking attack and orb boost between them. It seems pretty cool, right? And then, of course, you have, like, this character as a captain giving you attack down reduction, strength slots are matching, and you have Lilith with the speed farm and end of turn damage to just wave clear the first few stages really fast. So I like what's going on here. Sailor effect, strength slots are beneficial to both Cerebral and Fighter, that's very good. And then boost the top row character's base attack by 150, okay. Now, this character also has the potential abilities of slotline reduction, and it also has a critical hit effect. But then, Final Tap. This character also has Final Tap, and it's interesting because Lilith also had Final Tap. So, it's a bit interesting that they're going down that route where they're releasing these Vegapunk characters that all have the same potential ability that kind of overlap with each other. This character's Final Tap, you need to beat the final battle, have 5 Cerebral characters on the crew. So basically, you have to have a full Cerebral team because it does not include herself. Further boost the chain multiplier of the Final Tap by 2 times. This is very reminiscent of characters like Final Tap Robin and Final Tap Uta. This is a good Final Tap. This does do a lot of damage, but it is not as good as what we had with Lilith. Lilith's Final Tap was way better than this, and if you're running that full mono Cerebral, then yeah, Lilith will definitely clear. But this is just a nice little effect, because you gotta remember, when you launch this character special, it does allow her own normal attacks to bypass enemy defensive effects for 1 turn. So what you can do is on your burst turn, even if the rest of your crew isn't hitting through the defensive effects, you can still Final Tap with this character and still do a lot of damage with this alone. Now yes, it's not going to be relevant in a lot of cases, but it's still an interesting thing that is kind of noteworthy. And then her support effect, int Cerebral characters is who it attaches to, and if you use a special, once per quest, if you use a special, reduces all enemies damage reduction by 1 turn, and then int Cerebral characters get a 1.75 times attack boost for 1 turn. It's a very good support. We'll definitely see play, no doubt in my mind. So we also need to have a look at Lilith's Rumble stuff here. So her Rumble passive gives buffs to int, level 5 attack, Cerebral, get a speed increase, level 6, HP level 6, and whenever this character deals damage up to 5 times, give herself level 1 CT speed increase. So that's really cool. Very quickly, she's going to speed up. She's going to be able to launch her special very, very quickly. And her special does look good. So it's a 33 CT. It targets 1 enemy for 1.5 damage 5 times. That alone, not great, right? But then, if you have 5 or more int characters on the team, target 3 enemies for 3.5 damage. That's obviously very, very good. But then, if you have 5 or more Cerebral characters, target 1 enemy for 2 times damage, ignoring defense. This is crazy, right? Because the fact that you can just launch this special and you get 5 hits, you get 3 hits, and then you get 1 hit that ignores defense. So you get already 8 hits of damage here, and then 1 massive hit at the end. Yeah, this is going to be a very good offensively focused character, but the thing is int Cerebral are kind of bad, at least to my recollection, so I don't know how this is going to play out. I mean, you could obviously synergize it with Lilith, but I don't think Lilith was that good in Rumble to my recollection. There obviously is like Legend Uta, for example, is pretty good for int Cerebral. I don't know, past that, it might be a little wonky. We'll see, but this does have potential once int Cerebral gets some better support, and also evading half stats, and then damage reduction versus Psy characters. So Atlas honestly looks pretty interesting. She seems pretty good, works well with Lilith of course, but what I feel like is that this is kind of setting us up for a potential release of, obviously Shaka hasn't released yet, Shaka the first Vegapunk, and Dr. Vegapunk himself as a character in this game. I feel like they're kind of setting us up, releasing all of these characters, and somehow the original body of Dr. Vegapunk is going to abuse all of these characters to do some crazy bonkers weird team. I can't wait to see exactly what they have planned. It seems interesting though. Let's move on though. Who we got? We have Pythagoras and Edison, right? That's right, Edison. I don't know why I forgot his name, but Edison and Pythagoras. This is one of the rare recruits here. It's going to be int, Cerebral, and Fighter. Captain ability isn't really that big of a deal, but it does have the effect to add stackable boost to chain multipliers, so that's pretty interesting. The special ability reduces threshold by 6, sets all enemies' defense to 0 for 2 turns, and if the crew has a chain addition when you launch the special, it further increases the chain addition by 0.6, so that's a pretty big increase, honestly. And then if you have an int captain, it will give a 1.2 chain addition for 2 turns. If a captain is cerebral, it sets the chain multiplier minimum at 2.25, max at 15 for 2 turns, and further increases the crew's additive chain boost by 0.3. So this character obviously is solely focused around chain multipliers, lots of chain, and then also having a little bit of utility with threshold and defense reduction. None of which, or the defense specifically not going through immunities, which is kind of a shame. But this character is just solely focused around giving you chain multipliers. I like that he does chain addition and chain boundary. Like, this character is a really nice addition, giving you good chain boost and stuff. Does make dex slots beneficial as a sub for cerebral, and then into characters quick slots are also matching. So this character for your like Vegapunk team makes both dex and quick slots beneficial. That's really cool. Potential ability of pinch healing and also fear reduction. So having fear reduction is cool, meaning that these slots will always be beneficial, which is cool. And then the support effect to any cerebral once per quest. If the supported character uses a special to change slots, further increases the chain addition by 0.2. So that is interesting. So we got cerebral characters that change slots. I feel like this support is probably supposed to be used with the whole Vegapunk team that they have brewing in the background right now. So we're not too sure who this is really supposed to be used for, but we'll see. Unless if York does slot change, we'll have a look. But here is Punk06 York, and she is an int cerebral free spirit. Captain ability isn't that big of a deal. If the crew uses a special to boost base attack, you add 250 to the boost. And then the effect of her special binds herself for 10 turns, but it reduces crew's counter healing and counter recovery duration by 6, heals 20% of crew's max HP, and then also heals 10k at the end of the turn for 3 turns. Cerebral characters will get a chain multiplier tap timing growth rate up to a 0.5 for every perfect that you hit for 2 turns, and then boosts cerebral characters base attack by 1000 for 2 turns, and further increases the base attack by plus 500, and it also does apply to the special. So basically, if you have a really good base attack that you've launched before this, you get 500 added to it. Otherwise, it's basically a 1500 base attack boost for 2 turns. And then, of course, if you have her as a captain for whatever reason, you add 250 to it. Yeah, it's an interesting effect. Nothing too crazy, but from what we can see is none of the Vegapunk characters have slot change in their special. So the support of Edison and Pythagoras doesn't really work with the Vegapunks right now, unless if, of course, there is going to be one that does that in the future. We'll see. And then this character for potential ability also has fear resistance. Recovery and Semmler slots are going to be matching. So interesting that it's focusing on Semmler slots. Very, very weird. Crew is immune to blindness when the captain is cerebral. I like that. That's really cool. And then the support once per quest, if supported character uses a special to change your slots, then it will increase your base attack by 300. Not a great support, honestly. Not very good at all. But that's it. That's the whole new treasure map batch that we have to look forward to here. Obviously, this is all solely focused around the Egghead stuff. Egghead's getting really exciting right now. Obviously, latest anime episode was Flames. It was so good. I'm really excited to see what they have planned for, you know, the Egghead stuff moving forward. But anyways, that is going to wrap it up for me. Let me know your thoughts and opinions about Atlas. Are you going to be trying to pull for Atlas? I might do a couple multis, but I'm not going to go in for Atlas. As much as I would like to have this full Vegapunk batch that they have, you know, planned for us. I think it's probably better to conserve your rainbow gems for bigger stuff moving forward. But that's going to wrap it up for me. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. And that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.